Folks, evening, Wednesday evening, and we got a smorgasbord of things that we're working on here. There we go. Now we're plugged in. Smorgasbord of things that we were working on that we were left things on over the weekend, and just kind of catch you guys up to speed what we've been doing. Now, I was saying I was only doing hobby stuff while I was being filmed to kind of stay on track, but I actually had to break free of that for a little bit because I had some time to work on things, but not enough. Don't mind me, I'm just picking up here. Not enough to actually film because if I'm doing less than an hour's worth of work, it's not worth to gear everybody up. And, by the time people start showing up, then it's time to cut out. But so over the weekend, we were basing the two units of Bowman for my Bosnian or Hungarian archers. Okay, so we already put the goop on them, and this stuff is dried. As you can see, it dries glossy and semi-transparent. It dries pretty transparent actually, but these guys are done. They just need to do the basing on them. And what else? We were working on this tank. We were working on this T-34 tank over the weekend, and I had two of these kits, and I put one of them together. Just finished it up this morning, and it's basically complete. I got some options here of whether I'm going to put some fuel canisters on it or not, and some, there's accoutrements as far as like shovels and stuff. I'm going to leave that towards the end that the other one is done because I want them to look different from each other, just for variety. But here's the other T-34 model 1943, and which is the hexagonal turret and the cupola there, which is this is the most advanced the most advanced version of the regular T-34 76 was this one, because this is the only version I believe that had the cupola, and they got that at the end so that you've got better all-around view there for the commander. But anyhow, so we finished putting this together, and we did the tires this morning off camera and so forth. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and do the basing on this Bowman, okay, because that's going to take some time to dry, and then when we switch back, we won't be able to do the first dry brush yet. That's when we can go back to the tank building. So let's move this little T-34 out of the way here. And of course, all my World War II stuff is 1/72 scale or 20 mil. That's what scale I've always done them in. Well, we did micro armor way back in the day, but I don't do 28s. I don't do 15s for World War II. They're all 20s. So, all right, so let's move this stuff off to the side. And then we could talk a little bit about my model building experience while I paint these guys, because I hadn't built a model in like 20 years. And I had some interesting things happen. The first interesting thing that happened is, let's grab all my stuff, and then we can talk, because, I can't multitask. So if I'm doing A and talking about B, it's not going to work out really well. Let me get Brushlandia that's behind me. And this is where I say, let's get a brush that we don't love so much. We are going to have to get in between these guys' legs, so let's get one that's not totally crappy either. All right, those two ought to do the trick for the brushes. And of course, we're going to grab good old chocolate brown from Vallejo. That's what we're going to use as the... Nope, this is leather brown. That's its kissing cousin. So, for those of you that do not know, actually the wife told me about this. The only hobby store that we have in town is a store called Hobby Lobby, and they, starting on February 28th, are no longer going to honor their 40% off coupon. They have this thing, they have a constantly this coupon that's running that you don't even have to get the paper. You just go online and it's 40% off one item. Well, it's really handy. And they have Vallejo paints, and they're kind of the only place I can get hobby type stuff. Okay, in this town. I mean, yes, we got a game store, but they don't restock anything, and they have nothing there for. I've been there and got really nothing for me. So really, the only place in town if I need to pick something up is at Hobby Lobby. So I've got less than a month to make multiple trips with a 40% off coupon. I'm sure what happened is that lots of people went in there. So supposedly the story is they're going to discontinue the 40% off coupon and they're going to price things more aggressively. And they're probably going to, if they even do that, they might discount things like 10%. Whatever, I get it. It's at that point, if there's 40% off, it's almost their cost. So I'm sure a lot of people were going in there and buying only one item at 40% off. And, the whole idea is to get people in the store. So, they might buy one thing at 40% off, but then they make regular profit on everything else. I don't know how they run their business, but I'm just kind of speculating. But I only have less than a month to go there. Of course, I'm only going to go on the weekends, only on Saturdays. They're not open on Sundays for religious reasons, I think. The They go to the same church that Chick-fil-A does, and they're not open on Sunday either. But anyhow, so Saturday I'm going to have to see and scope what else I possibly can't live without at 40% off. I was thinking of getting maybe a set of tweezers because I'm doing this model building now. So I hadn't built any plastic models in, well, probably 20 years. And, but I've been constantly building other things with epoxy and white metal. And, it's not like I've been doing DBA stuff instead. So the first thing that surprised me about building models is that this is going to be really funny. They don't weigh anything. Okay. And because they don't weigh anything, it's really easy to do something sudden and then you lose something. Like it's gone because these road wheels. Well, this is two pieces of plastic. It's two pieces together, but it doesn't take anything for you to chop something up and these things fly. Maybe a pair of nips. That's what I'm probably going to get. Maybe a hobby set that includes some nips there to cut that. Even though I've always used an X-Acto knife my whole life, but that's the first thing that came to mind is really these things don't weigh anything, and even these lead figures, they're small, but they've got heft to them, and there's stuff to them. So just a plastic kit doesn't weigh anything. That's the first thing. Second of all, they're super fiddly, and I consider myself someone of above average patience when it comes to this hobby stuff. Not for everything, but for hobby stuff, I mean, I spent a lot of time painting these little tanks. Which, by the way, well, I'll give you an update on this afterwards. We'll talk about them after we get done with the model building part, because I put this little guy together, and honestly, it took forever. You got to pop the pieces off. You've got to scrape them off because they've got even more flash. So they may not have more flash than miniatures, but they have more mold seams. So you want to get the ones that are off, that are a pain in the butt. And it's relaxing, but it takes time. And I had one of these road wheels that went a flying, and I had to find it. And like I said, I'm not particularly clumsy, incompetent, or impatient, and it was kind of interesting going back to that. So that's the first thing. That's the first couple things that I noticed. Um, The other thing is that um, I I've built this because I've had this thing for 20 years. But if I'm going to buy any more kits, they have a lot of kits now that are they didn't used to back then, but they have a lot now that are almost war game ready. Whether they're made by Plastic Soldier Company, I believe is the name of the company. Remember, I'm only interested in 20 millimeter or 1/72nd scale vehicles. So the guys that don't make stuff like that, as much as I like the Tamiya kits, and I built many of them way back in the day, they're not useful, for that. But Plastic Soldier Company has pre-made ones, and there's some that are pre-made, meaning, all the running gear and the tracks are all one piece. Okay, and who's the other one? There's a company called Pegasus. I believe they're a Russian or a Ukrainian company, and they also have ones that are basically. I don't want to go through all the trouble building the landing gear. The running gear. It's a pain in the ass. It takes a long time. It's not difficult to do, but it's just time consuming. It's time I could be spending on painting and finishing the model, which is what I really do enjoy doing. Now, this rubber band track, I almost threw this son of a bitch away. Okay, because I know what you got to do. I've put them on before. You put it in like boiling hot water and you stretch it out so that it doesn't. I'm telling you, it was a pain in the ass. So when we're gonna make the little track sag, and they'll be mounted on a little base. Not a huge base, but just so it ties everything into the environment that it's in and everything. But it was a pain in the ass. I almost threw away the landing gear. I mean I keep saying landing gear. I'm not building planes, damn it. The the track. And the separate link ones, I've built those before, and those are a pain in the ass too. So I'm definitely looking forward to building ones that I don't have to do all that building. And I don't mind painting this stuff. But like I said, I may paint slow, but everything you paint builds upon the level before. So you're constantly moving forward. It's not like, oh, I screwed that up. I got to fix it. Oh, I have everything glued on and the rubber band tracks are too tight, are on too tight, and it broke off one of the road wheels. True story, it happened. That stuff's kind of demoralizing for me. I can deal with it, but that's not what I enjoy because in the last 20 years or so of my hobby, of my hobby stuff, I don't experience that with miniatures. Um, it's not like I go and I have to redo something that I've already done or the figures fall off. It's constantly moving forward. So I'd rather be the tortoise, not the hare. Um, Anywho, what else happened? A lot of these kits don't have good decals. And normally I could paint the slogans that they have on the Russian tanks, like, your mother was a hamster, or whatever they happen to say. Um, One of them I remember way back in the day of doing 1/35th scale modeling. There was this one decal on a Russian tank, and I keep all my decals. I don't have the 1/35th scale kits, but I still have one of the decals set. I have this Russian tank decal set, and one of the sayings on the tank was "Death to the fascist vipers" or something like that. And so they have some creative things that go on there. I can hand paint those. But what I don't want to do is hand paint the stars because you want a star looking even. Um, and I don't want to sit there and do that over again. So I went through my decals and found out, first of all, I didn't have very many Russian decals in this scale. And like these didn't even come with any. I believe I bought these on eBay and it was literally two sprues for each. They were unboxed or whatever. And it came, I think, with one set of decals. And the set of decals didn't have any red stars. And I kind of want that for a little pop of color. I'm not going to put a bunch of them on there, but it needs to have something. Or maybe one of them will have the red stars and the other one won't. Because I got two of this same tank of this one that to build. I'm not buying any kits. I've got stuff that I've had for 25 years or so, so we're going to go through those. But I'm just saying, I was surprised that I actually didn't have any enough. Enough decals for that. So that's why we did not finish these other vehicles because what I did is I I detailed them enough to and put a gloss coat on them so we can put decals on them, which should be in on Saturday, I believe. Okay, and then we can take them to the rest of the way, seal them again, and then do some weathering and finish up these three vehicles. Well, all we're going to do with the Jeep, we're going to put a red star on the hood. Okay, that's all we're going to do on it, and it's pretty much ready to go. This guy will probably have a number and a red star on the or number or numbers on the turret, and probably the same thing with the armored car. We'll have some red stars just asking to be on those doors. So anyhow, and then we'll weather them up and put them on the stands. So anywho, and the stands, I've got some shims that are made of like plastic shims that I have left over from work, and we've got some sheet magnets that should be in this week that we'll just cut them on the bottom, and that way we carry them in our tray. They don't slide all over the place and destroy themselves. If we ever war game with these things, I'm just kind of, thinking ahead, so the juices are starting to flow on the World War II stuff, especially with the idea that we're not going to have any conventions anytime soon. So there's no incentive in me saying, oh, well, I'm not going to work on World War II stuff because I'm not going to run it at shows anyways. But, so if there's no shows, which is a true story, I'm not going to run World War II at a convention. It's just, it's too much hassle. And our conventions, the sessions are only 4 hours long, and you can't get this done in 4 hours. The stuff I like to play, it takes much longer than 4 hours. So no conventions for that. Maybe sometime in the future we can do live videos from Mitch's house or somewhere else with our World War II game. But for now, I'm not really thinking about doing that. Just kind of working something on the side. So same thing. I need something to do while this bottom color is drying, because it's still kind of wet and I can't dry brush over it. So instead of stopping working on hobby time, I'll just find something else to do. And if you've been following, you've noticed I've been doing the vehicles at night because I feel like being creative. I just don't feel like working on the same damn shit that I've been working on over the weekends. So that was one hell of a run-on sentence. Anybody have anything to say about that? No. Okay. Well, there you go. That's what I've been up to. So we got lots of vehicles. They also make the separate link tracks, and those are mother as well. They're actually worse in different ways. But whatever, we'll struggle. It's just really frustrating to be someone who's like meticulous and detail oriented, and this thing is so frustrating. So I know that if I had trouble with this, that a lot of other people had it as well. So it was the road wheels falling off, and then also this is a three-piece hull that was constantly falling apart when I was putting too much pressure on trying to get this damn rubber band around the edges. But anyways, we kicked its ass, we won. So but I'm looking forward to the vehicles that all have the running gear all in one piece. But we will not consider getting any until we have all our Russian vehicles done. So we've got the other T-34 done. I believe I've got a couple of T-34-85s to repaint. What else do we have the Russians? I have a JSU 152 and a 122. You can make either one of them out of it. I've got an old BP cast JS2 tank. And then I think that's it for the Russians. And the reason why I'm doing all the Russians first is because I feel like it. Now, the reason I'm doing all the Russians first is because I don't have to decide whether they're going to be gray or not. So we're probably going to do. I'm thinking I'm probably going to do the Americans next, but we'll see. To be continued. To use them to kind of fill in the gap. No, but it's been nice working on something in the evenings, because usually by the time the evening rolls around, I'm tired now. But I'm like, okay, let's get this basing done. Let's talk. I'm enjoying talking World War II stuff. I haven't done that in a long time, and that's used to be all we used to do. So, and there's lots of rule sets out there, and and I won't play just anything. So lots of people play Bolt Action. I won't play that. I won't play Flames of War. I've played both, and they were really unsatisfying for a rivet counter like myself, a treadhead. So let's put a little bit more of this out. I don't force people to play the games that I play, so I expect the same thing. I'm not interested in playing. What's that? Crossfire or the one. What is it? The Coffin for Seven Brothers or whatever. That's just tough. That stuff is too generic for me. I need more. I need more anal retentiveness when it comes to World War II. So that's okay right now. I'm just enjoying doing the vehicles. I've had them a long time, and it's before I got into doing DBA, I basically was playing games that focused around machines, whether it was ships, whether it was tanks, anything like that. It was mainly machines. Yes, sometimes you would have the odd figure you would do here and there, but it was mostly a battle of machines. So I haven't painted any machines in 20 years. So it's kind of nice going back and doing a little bit of that. Okay. And hopefully by now you guys have caught up on a whole bunch of videos that we did. As we did a half-assed unboxing on Monday night, and we did a series of 4 games, and we did a live Q&A session. So, and the only reason we did the live Q&A session, it was 9:30 at night, and I'm like, I don't want to go home. Actually, I was in no condition to go home, and it was early, and we just want to have some fun with it. And I think a lot of people enjoyed that. My problem with it is that we're not the authors of the rules, so I'm kind of over the fact of people second guessing our rulings. We're gonna play the game how we play it, and if other people want to play it differently, then you guys play the game differently. But there is a FAQ group, a frequently asked questions group for DBA. I'm a member of it, but now they've gotten to the point where they only meet once a year. And the last time I brought something up, they basically nobody could agree on it, so it was kind of left up in the air. So I'm like, okay, well, screw that. I mean, I'm not going to sit there and, we're going to try to play the rules as best as we can, how we've been playing them for multiple years. And if you guys like to play them differently, then play them differently. I mean, who's going to know? You'll make just as much money playing them however you want to as we will. So I'm not fretting about that too much. We're just going to have fun with it. And yes, we'll get shit wrong, but whatever. It's just a game. So we're still having fun doing it. So we will do that again when last year we did some of that. We did a couple of those, and then we did the one session where we talked about what games we were going to run in the next 2 conventions, and then the pandemic hit, and they didn't have the conventions, and it's like, okay, so we went through all that trouble, and and they unleashed this virus on us. I'm like, okay, we're not going to create more freaking work for us, so we're not going to do that. What we're doing in advance, we'll just we'll run games whenever they have conventions again, and it's the same reason why we don't really announce what games we're doing next week, because as soon as we announce what we're doing next week and it changes, against my wishes, I should add that it changes because my job has lots of changes, and I do not like changes in my personal life because there's nothing I can do about them in my job. But all of a sudden, people feel like they need an answer. Well, why did it change? Well, shit happens, dude. Because we have some players that haven't do not have control of their own destiny and don't know if they're going to be able to show up until the very end. So we got something cool planned for next week on Monday night. We'll see if it happens. We will see if it happens. So like I said, you got somebody in the office or whatever, and they want to get the update on why things change, and they're not over your pay grade, and like, sorry, dude, you didn't sign up for the update service. You know, I got to explain things to people all day long that don't listen. So doing more of that's really not my idea. But like I tell people at work, if it changes, it was against my wishes. If I'm going to plan, and if I'm forced to plan something, and for some reason the plan changes, I am not happy about it. Okay, because I've already made plans. So that's just one of those things. So we got something cool, supposedly planned for Monday, but we'll see how many people show up. So the big variable. All right. Make sure we don't miss any spots. Still got to do two colors on top of this one, so if we do, it's not the end of the world. Let's scoot these guys to the edge. I don't know how the hell it can be 40 something degrees out and penetratingly cold, and here I can't stand it without the fan going. And then as soon as we're done with this, we'll go back to building a tank because we got to keep moving. And this may take 30 minutes or so to dry, but I won't be able to finish this tonight. So we'll let it dry good. And this is the only part that I don't like about the process is waiting for something to dry. I'm really not used to that. Okay. And they're done. All right. You go in the brush cleaning and okay. Put that away. All right, where did we leave off? Well, this guy's completely done, except for the options that I'm going to have there. Okay, we did the road wheels on this. What else do we have? Yeah, this is the T3485 that I have that's been mistreated, and this is an Eschi kit, and I don't believe this is an Eschi kit. This was some kind of Russian kit that got a long time ago, but you could tell the road wheels are the same. It's almost the same mold, but this one has the separate link track, which is a pain in the ass. But this just broke, so I just figured I'd share that it's exactly the same piece. So. All right. All right, we got to do the little thingies on the end. So the idler wheel and then the sprocket. All right, and that's these pieces that are over here. So somebody was asking, hey, if I got any questions for you to ask on your next Q&A, where should I put them down? Well, the best place to put them is in comment section of the one Q&A that we did. I'll get notified of all the stuff, but it's a lot easier if you just go ahead and put it in the last Q&A, and that way I'll pull those questions before we have the time. So we still went an hour and a half. So we had a couple of people, one person in particular that was very active. I appreciated that, and it was kind of impromptu. I had one person that said, well, if I would have known you were going to go online. Well, we didn't know we were going to go live until we realized that we didn't have enough time. And, so it's unscripted and unplanned. Unscripted and unplanned. Check that out if you haven't seen it. Unless you're not into DBA, in which case, maybe you'll watch it anyways. Do we talk about other stuff? No, we could have talked about something else. Thing is, I only get together once a week because there's other things that you got to do other than going over to Mitch's house every week. So if I got together with him 2 times a week, we could probably do something different. And yes, I could sand this tremendously, but like I've mentioned before, I'm not going to enter this in an IPMS convention contest. Doesn't mean I'm going to do. I'd rather spend my effort painting it than building it. So we're going to get most of this stuff off. And yeah, see, this thing takes off because you're light. You don't weigh anything. Got really unused to that. Yeah, just doing this alone, I would have trashed my cutting thing. That's why we have cardboard over it. Okay, those two are done. Got these two left. Okay. I guess there's probably people doing live feeds of modeling. I don't know if there is. I know there's people that live feed video games. I never understood how that works. They must have some kind of special connection where they can feed. I mean, hell, I can't even get 1080 on a live feed. And they're doing video games and shit. Not that I want to do video games, but I'm just saying, that's pretty demanding. Yeah, eventually you'll be able to get 1080 on a mobile connection. And we'll still be doing videos, so you'll get better looking stuff sometime in the future. When we have it, I don't know. I'd connect to it, but we don't have, I'd connect the internet, but we don't have fiber optic here. What's it called? You know what I'm talking about. High speed, the super high speed. My mobile connection's 10 times faster than my house connection. My house connection can't keep up. Okay. So, right. So this end and this one goes with these two, and then these two go with these two. Got it. All right. And make sure before I get taken over by these fumes. Nobody's got any questions. Okay. You guys just hanging out. That's cool. That's cool. I got lots of things to say, so. Yeah, but I'm enjoying all the World War II stuff I'm doing. I don't know if I'll ever get around to playing it. It's kind of a tall order. But it's not going to keep me from building the stuff that I already have. And it takes a little while to do these, so I think that what we'll do is we could possibly do a review of these models before we start working on them. We didn't do that with these T-34s because hell, I didn't even have a box or anything, and I didn't know how far I was going to go with it. I just felt like building something. So maybe the next one we'll do that. So. So I was in the store and I was deciding whether or not I was going to get this glue, and I opened it. I wanted to see how bad it smelled, and it's like, holy crap! I don't know if I can deal with this being in a room, but I'm not smelling it that much. I think when I took a big breath, it was more than what I'm doing. And I've put this thing together now with it. And I haven't gotten high once. We grew up with model glue. We never sniffed glue. What is that? Who does stuff like that? Okay, that's done. What's next? Where's my glasses so I can find myself? As I like to say. Always nice to have a change. Yeah, so I was going to go through some of my decals, but then I realized, a fair amount of people that watch this channel live in countries where some of the decals I may show on here are illegal for you guys to view. You know what I'm talking about. So I'm like, man, maybe I better not do that. I don't want to get you guys in trouble. Don't want the polizei to go knocking on your door. That's another reason I didn't want to do the German stuff first. Everybody does the German vehicles. You go and you look at any vehicles, you're like, most vehicles are available with Germans. You're like, well, why is that? Well, they're cool looking. And they have different camouflage schemes and all that kind of stuff. It's not that, we got all those white supremacists building kits and they want the German ones. No, they just had different camouflage. Like Americans, okay? The Sherman models. I'm sorry if you're a Sherman fan. It's not an attractive vehicle. It's true. Well, in my opinion, of course, it could be different for you, but and they didn't have any really good camouflage schemes. They were all, what made them look interesting is how much crap like bags and stuff they put on them, and they had catchy nicknames they could give the vehicles, that would be painted on them. But Shermans are pretty ugly and bland, and there's a million of them. The German vehicles had all kinds of cool camouflage schemes, and I think that's why it's popular. Because I mean, even all these. When I grew up, the model kits were all built. They're all Japanese kits, and there were hardly any Japanese vehicles. It was all German vehicles. So, you know, somebody told me one time they had a set of rules that if they put a if they put a German if they put a German soldier on the rules, they sold better. I don't know if that's true or not, but I've always gamed every country. So if you're building Germans, you're going to need Brits or Russians to fight them. It's not like you can just sit there and, well, I'm only going to do these guys. So we're going to need two of these. Yeah, I saved all my decals, even one from the planes, and I had a bundle of swastikas in there because I had World War II aircraft, and they each came with one, and you don't use them all. There's always some left over. So, but I don't want to put that on there. Get you guys in trouble. I was going to say send the wrong message, but that's not the case. Now I'll tell you what. I don't. If you guys probably already know, I don't get offended easily. I'm old school, and I grew up like you make fun of everything, and we all get along at the end of the day. But here's something I won't do. I think it's in really bad taste. It's in bad taste. Let's put it that way. It doesn't offend me, but it's in bad taste. I've seen people like at a Flames of War event. At Flames of War, it's you bring like a team or whatever, and say they're playing Germans or something like that, and you have a T-shirt that's about the Viking SS division and it has their logo. Now, the Germans were excellent at marketing things. All of their symbols, all their symbology of all their units is very attractive from that standpoint, but it sends the wrong message. And the way I look at it is, I wouldn't want. Well, that's a lot less prevalent now than when I used to game, but I wouldn't want a World War II vet to see me wearing a shirt with the insignia of a unit that he fought in the war and killed his buddies. It just sends the wrong message. So, does it offend me if I see somebody wearing that? No, but it sends the wrong message. So, I have seen people do that, and you know, but they were masters at marketing things. So maybe it would have been better if they weren't so good at marketing things. But that's a topic for another channel. But the British in North Africa had really cool symbols and stuff of all their units. And they had those little placards, right, that had like the regiment thing, like a 52 on a red background or a blue one. I think their stuff was really good. What do the Americans get? Like a freaking serial number that, you know that it's the 4th Armored Division because it has a 4 and then a little triangle. I'm like, that sucks. Come on. Be careful I don't lose this thing. So let's see. John Peter already got banned just even hearing me talk about that. No, I'm sensitive. To that stuff. I get it. And I wouldn't want the first impression somebody sees of me. I'm wearing some paraphernalia of a brutal dictatorship. So, but I have no problem playing anybody in a war game because it's just a game. But I'm not going to dress up as them unless I'm in some movie or something. But sends the wrong message. You got to remember, there's a lot of ignorant people out there, and one of those ignorant people might see you, and then thinks that you're a certain way because they're ignorant. I remember I was in middle school. Was it 6th grade or 7th grade? It was 6th or 7th grade. You know, this is what would this have been in the early '80s? I just started getting into World War II stuff. I started doing that in junior high and reading about it. And there was this desk where somebody had scribbled on a swastika on the desk, a little one, like they were just kind of fooling around, and wrote on there, "Commies suck." And I'm like, this person's ignorant. So that's what you guys got to deal with. You got to deal with people that are aren't really knowledgeable about things and may take things out of context. So that was my life lesson for today, I guess. I need to get some super glue, and I'm not sure that I need the gap filling one. Dun, 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 dun. But I just have the gap filling one here now. So let me go grab the other one. I bought one of those Mondo packs that came like 6 packs of all the glues. So I've got more super glue than I know what to do with. And I don't really use the thin. Or the ultra liquid control. But that's what I need. And I'm going to use the super glue because I'm going to super glue these wheels down. Because using the weld cement didn't work. Well, first of all, the little, oh, I guess I got to cut that off first. That's what happens when it's my second time building one. I'm like, oh, I know what to do, and I do. But you see these little posts where these stick on? They're very, very shallow, so it doesn't take very much for these to come off. So we're going to do all this first. Okay, there's one of them. I'll take sounds you never hear when you're working on miniatures. I mean, unless you're doing those plastic ones, which I have less than 0 interest in ever painting plastic figures for DBA. I mean, if that's all there was, well, that's all there was. But the fact that they don't weigh anything is not my cup of tea. But it's good for the consumer to have options. Options are good. All right. This part I'm about to do, I absolutely detest, which is putting all these halves together. Because it's just extra trouble for no reason. And this kit is not a particularly great fitting one. This is, I believe, an Italieri kit, or Italeri. We always called it Italieri, but it's probably Italeri. And they don't even have the pieces numbered on here, which you don't need to, but, you know, I'm used to building the old Tamiya kits, which were freaking fabulous as far as... Hey, look, I boogered up a little bit. Who cares? I got gap filling stuff. I don't have all night. I'm pretty patient, but sometimes this just takes too long. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes this takes too long. There's a company called Armorfast. They've been out, well, they'd come out just before I started doing World War II stuff, about 20 years ago. And they really are, I think they were pretty much the pioneers of the kits that were already put together for war gamers. But a lot of their stuff lacks a lot of detail. I've got some Shermans by them, and they don't have anything on them. It's like I've got to add bags and sandbags and logs and stuff to make them look a little bit more lived in, because they're pretty boring. They're very, very boring. So they also don't come with decals, but I've got some American I already had 2 decal sheets for the American stars, so that's there's that. All right, let's check the fit on this. This is the other thing I'm not used to. All these little bits and pieces of plastic laying around. Okay, and then this one is like so. I don't know about the thin one. Am I going to get it everywhere? Let's see. Skylab, Armorfast, tank destroyers aren't great. Open top with no turret detail. Yeah. Yeah. I wouldn't mind having a pair of M10s, because I'm doing skirmish gaming. So tanks that have weaknesses, I know they're not tanks. Vehicles that have weaknesses, that have poor armor, or that are open topped, are really ideal, you know, because you're operating on the table at distances that they shouldn't be at anyways. In other words, they're already too close. So, you know, they could catch a grenade going in there or something like that. Yeah, no details, not good. It does allow you to paint some figures, and I always like that, but got a crack in a safe. Let's see what we got here. Let's see how thin this stuff is, and See if I chose poorly or not. Oh, snap. It's happening. It happened. Tony does World War II. That's all I used to do. That's all I used to do. Boy, I could really use some of that stuff you'd spray on it. It sets it immediately, but how long does this take? It's all good. I'm looking forward to painting this. That's the part I really enjoy doing. Still, what is this? 15-minute super glue? This all should be one piece. It's this multiple holes because there's wow. I'm not going to use this thin one again. It takes too long to dry. All right. We'll leave this. We'll give this one to the wife. She can use it to repair a broken nail. That's what she did with the other one. Wow. Okay. Let's see. We got anything else while we're. Even the gun breech was missing. Wow. That's bad. That's really bad. All right. I won't get those. I guess that's what you're talking about. They make an M10. What else do they make? They make an Achilles, which is just the M10 with the 17 pounder in it, um, with a counterweight. I think that one has a counterweight on it. Yeah, the 17 pounder on the Firefly doesn't have a counterweight at the end, but the one on the Achilles, I believe, does. Things you remember. I have an Archer. I have a BP cast Archer. These BP cast well, I'm not even calling them kits. These BP cast models. Um, you had the Achilles. Very nice price though. Oh, price. I thought you said piece. Price. Yeah. Well, it takes just as long to paint a crappy model as it does a good one. So why not get a good one? Although I am kind of thrilled about painting really crappy looking things. And okay, I'm about to give up on this son of a bitch because I use the weld cement on the other side, and it dried in no time. And this is still doing its thing. See, I'm patient, but some things shouldn't take this freaking long. This isn't my first rodeo. All right, artillery. So what I'm saying is the Italians couldn't make good tanks, even in model kits. Oh man, the Cromwell tank was a nice fast model. Well, the problem with the Cromwell is, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm not an expert on late war British stuff, but I believe I know the Seventh Armored Division used them. And there may have been one other unit that used the Cromwells, but or some of them were like in the reconnaissance unit of some of the armored units. But as far as a main battle tank, I believe they were only used in the 7th Armored and maybe something else. And I don't think it's the guards, but that's kind of limiting, you know. I have to look that up. This is remembering something that I didn't study 25 years ago, but the other guys just used Shermans. See what would they have used for the Cromwells? Because in a normal armored division in 1944 after Normandy, they would have a certain amount of tanks that were like 1 in 4 that was a Firefly, or 1 in 5 that was a Firefly. So if it's Sherman's and then one of them's a Firefly amongst all those, so what do you do with a 17 pounder gun in a unit that's using Cromwells? Would it also have been a Firefly? I don't know. I always like looking stuff up like that, you know? Kind of cool. Cromwell troop would have 3 Cromwells and a Sherman Firefly. Okay, so they'd mix and match them. Okay. Well, I know 7th Armored Division used them in Normandy, and I'm not sure if anybody else used them. I've got a book that would say it, but you know, I have my hands full gluing one freaking piece. This is ridiculous. This is just, I did this. I figured, oh, it'll be quicker. Nope. Not always quicker. Right. Well, on that note, we're not going to use super glue. I did use some on the other one to reinforce it after it was done, like on the inside. So we'll use the gap filling one to reinforce it. Right. So let's glue all these little guys on there. Get this one here. I want to say there was another division that used the Cromwell, and it was kind of a high numbered one. And pretty sure that it was in France, not one of the ones that went to Italy. All right. How many do we need? 5 of these? 2, 3, 4, 5. I never built a Cromwell. I didn't even have them in micro armor. I did have some late war British, but I had all Shermans. Fireflies. I have a Firefly model. It's from Britannia. It's white metal and mostly resin. And it's actually built and painted. I need to bring it to current standards on painting, but yeah, but it's done. Everybody likes it. The only, in my opinion, the only better looking tank in the only better looking Sherman than a Firefly is a Super Sherman, one of those Israeli Super Shermans. Those things look awesome. The ones that have the 105s in them, I don't think I'd want to be inside one of them because there doesn't seem like there's a lot of room in there. But that's a really cool looking tank. Easy eights or cast holes or any of those, yeah, they're ugly. I mean, in real life, that's not important, but I'm painting it, so. But you can make them really individual with all the stuff and sandbags that they put on there. There's a company I came across called, I'm gonna call them Black Dog. It may not be Black Dog, but it's a name similar to that. And they make, what can I? Jeez, dude. I guess I still have some of that whiskey in me. um, Devil Dog, something like that. Anyways, they make a detail set for Shermans. That's to make them. Of course, it costs just as much as the vehicle. Isn't that always the case? Let's see if we can put these somewhat straight, and then we'll walk away from this and let this dry overnight. See what I mean? If I was building this out of metal, okay, and I was using epoxy, I'd be done. When I built this war wagon, where is he? He's back here somewhere. This war wagon for my Hussites. That thing is a sloppy freaking kit. And I took less time putting that together. Okay, here we go. Here's the question. Cromwell served with the 7th Armored, the 11th Armored, Guards Armored, and 1st Polish Armored Division. There you go. So it's 4. 7th, 11th, Guards, and the 1st. Okay, well, the 7th is the Desert Rats. The Guards is the one that has that eye symbol on it. I don't know what the symbol of the 1st Polish is. And the 11th, I want to say the 11th had not a Rhino 6th. I'm not sure what the 11th had. I got it. I got it around here somewhere. I've got all those. I got tons of World War II books. I just haven't looked at them in 2 decades. Aside from the 7th, they were mainly in the Armored Reconnaissance Regiments. Okay, so yeah, they had them in all the little armor. Yeah, that's a hell of a great tank in Armored Reconnaissance. Like, I wonder what's over there. Oh shit, we encounter the recon units. We have a tank in ours, and it fires a 75 millimeter round. That's a lot better than Pumas, which there weren't that many of. Better than those 222s or 234s or 232s. That's heavy duty right there, showing up with a 75 millimeter gun and a real tank. I do like that. Is it called Mickey Mouse? That late war camouflage that they had with the black and the green, or the really dark color and the green. I like the way that looks. I like the option of having camouflage on a tank. Let's put it that way. So, and there's some American tanks with camouflage, but it's really the exception. All right, have you freaking grown up a pair and glued yourself to something yet? All right, let's gap fill this booger. Why does this take so long? This is stupid now. Okay, so guards used them. I didn't remember. 11th. I don't remember which one 11th is. This symbol. I mean, I can't know everything. Well, I didn't game that. If I'd have gamed it, I would have known. I'm just over here holding myself. Skylag, I'm sure you guys got snow during this time. It's been pretty cold here. We've had a pretty cold winter. But I know sometimes snow and cold weather don't go hand in hand. It just depends. So maybe that's what I'll use my Hobby Lobby coupon. I'll get some of that immediate whatever it's called. It's not retarder. It's the opposite of retarder. You spray it on here and done. Except I need a third hand for the sprayer. I have to get my assist from my daughter. I mean, I can put a rubber band, but it's still popping off. You motherless goat herder. Just epoxy everything and be done with it, right? Let's see. Lots of snow for the ski resorts and not so much here on the valley floor this year. Okay. So the place that we took up there, it's called, the place that we went that was really cool up there is called, I put a little heart on the map, but I don't have access to that because it's on my phone. I'll tell you where it is. We went snowmobiling, was freaking amazing. Um, I'm a map guy, so I mean, I can, if I go one place, as soon as I go somewhere, I didn't have a signal worth a damn there, but when we got back where I did have a signal, I of course looked exactly what route we took and everything else, because that's how I process things. So let's see here. Let's go over to, man, my home internet is so slow. All right, let's see. And I'm getting every notification that I did through Google, even though I already looked at it on my phone. Okay, it is called, we went to a place, this thing will ever load up. It's a place that was near, I don't think it's called Park City Powder Cats, but it's over there. It was northeast of Park City, and we went to Windy Ridge. So Windy Ridge, and I believe there was a basin there, and that was freaking amazing. It was like maybe a mile across the basin, and we got to the base of the basin. It was maybe it's 12,000 something or whatever up there, and there's probably a mile from one end of the basin to the other, and then the rest of it went up maybe I'm gonna say another 1,000 feet. It might have been 700 feet or 600 feet or whatever. So you couldn't see over the mountain. You were like in this you're in this basin at the top of a mountain kind of thing, and that was absolutely beautiful. And the nothing like that you see in the part of the world that we live in. So we really enjoyed that. That was pretty cool. And that was in March, and it was actually pretty warm, but there was plenty of snow up there. But that was my first time snowmobiling, and it was weird for me because uh, it's very weird to step and not know if the ground is gonna catch you, if it's gonna be there to catch you. So it's like walking on a really clean marshmallow swamp. I like that. It was something totally different. You can't do that in Florida. All right, let's put this around that. I may need to tighten it one more. Let's do this. Let's do this. And see if we can tighten this up. That's not going to work. It's going to be too tight. And now it broke. Okay. All right. Well, screw you. We're going to epoxy you tomorrow. I've had enough of you. Okay. I've got to. I have to switch some clothes, and I will be right back in a few, I believe. So stay tuned, and I will be right back. Okay, not quite done, but let's see. You can use blue tack to help model parts hold their shape while the glue dries. Oh, I should get some of that. yeah, I'm telling you, it's really when you're used to dealing with stuff that is really detail oriented, it is very disturbing to have something that is just a pain in the ass. You know, it's not like I'm building a house. I'm building something that, but I'm used to using epoxy and um, things not being bendy. So um, you've got bendy plastic parts, and that is very different than what I'm used to dealing with miniatures. And I'm telling you, the fact that they don't weigh anything is great if they fall on the ground. They don't crush itself. One of those turrets fell down the other day, and I thought it was over. And of course, it doesn't weigh enough to really damage itself. So that really wasn't an issue. But but you just don't have as much of a bond. So I will not be buying any more model kits. Well, I won't be buying any of any kind anytime soon. I've got a lot of stuff to do. I just figured I'd do the Russians first because I wouldn't have to have an argument with myself about what color I was going to paint them. You know, whether I was going to decide these Opel Blitz trucks, if I was going to make them Dunkelgelb or I was going to make them the Panzer Gray. You know, well, it depends on what time of year, what time period do I want to do. Do I want to do half of them in this color and half of them in the other? It's like, screw this, I'm doing the Russians. So we're doing the Russians first. Same reason I'll probably do the Americans second. So I got maybe 20 kits or something like that to do between all the nations. Hold on, I'll be right back. But I got about 20 vehicles to do between all the nations that I already have purchased that I've had over 20 years, and we're going to do them first. Or we're going to get close to doing them. And if by that time, if I'm already doing World War II stuff and I need to get a half track for something, well, it won't be a half track, but if I need something for a scenario, then I maybe can talk myself into getting it. But I don't have any plans for getting any new kits. But when I do, and if I do, there will be the ones that are already basically pre-made. But I'm looking forward this weekend, first of all, for putting the decals on. Decals should be in on Saturday. And once they're on, then we can do some weathering, including some, I'm gonna say washes, but not really, streaking and stuff. So I don't think I'm going to use enamel paints for any of it. I've watched a couple of videos. One of my modeling heroes does an excellent job with vehicles, but it would involve, if I did it the same way he did, it would involve me spending a significant amount of money on products I don't already have. So I will probably be using, do I have retarder? Yeah, I have retarder and I also have glaze medium. So I'll be using some glaze medium to do some equivalent of some washes, more like streaking. I did that on my Irish edifice that has some mildew on it, and it turned out pretty well. So I'm happy with that, how it turned out. And it's kind of a slow process, but I enjoy the painting. I enjoy the painting slow process. So this was Tony does the laundry. Now I had to throw some clothes in, or it's just too much to do on a weekend. You know, you end up having to do many loads for the three of us. Okay, that's done. And we have a lot of things, as I like to call, hang-upables. That's things that we have to hang up on and dry. Otherwise, you know, they'll end up being too short. They'll shrink on your belly, and you'll look like you're wearing a crop top. There we go. I don't look good in a crop top, okay? Tony in still life. I'm back now. He lives. Okay. Let's see what's going on with this abortion. And I think we'll leave this thing alone. Maybe I used too much of it. I don't know. Let's try doing the other side with weld cement. The fan and the speed where it sounds like it's a P-47 taking off. There we go. So it can't be on speed 3. Got it. A P-47 at a distance, of course. All right. Let's go put this other side on. And you know what? Let's make sure we do this too. So I've got this cement. I've got the Tester's one that we used growing up, you know, that's also thin like this. And then I've got the one from Microscale, which smells like oranges. But I like the applicator for this one better. The Microscale one, you just use a regular paintbrush. So you could use as small as applicator as you have as small of a paintbrush. But I like this Tamiya one. I always called it Tamiya growing up, and we worked at a store. But apparently it's Tamiya is the correct way to say it. I don't know. That's from someone I know that supposedly speaks Japanese. I'll take their word for it. Yeah, this shitty weld cement's working better than the other one. Oh well. We won't use super glue for that. Hopefully those road wheels hold on. Oh man. Okay. Let's put this nonsense away and see if we can't do some dry brushing on the rest of these and bring them up to where they need to be. How about that? Okay. Even more things in my way. All right. What are the other colors? This one right here is the next one. U.S. Field Trap. I guess we'll go ahead and dry brush on here and have this aberration that I got to look at for. I see some people will post their areas or whatever, and they've got their cutting mat, and they also paint on their cutting mat. And they got a big splotch of color where it almost looks like things have spilled. And I'm like, I don't know how you would get anything done. I'd constantly be distracted. I would constantly get distracted, and I don't mean that in a good way. It just pulls me off task. So, all right, let's find us a brush that we don't love. A brush that I don't have any love in. Probably shouldn't do this on here because it's soaking it up, but it's too late to care. This is U.S. Field Drab on top of chocolate brown, I believe is what it's called. Chocolate brown. And then after this, we've got 2 stands of the skirmishers, 2 stands of knights that are not deep, and 2 war wagons, and then these boogers will be done. Then we can argue about what we're going to do next. So far, it's working well for me. I'm able to do the World War II stuff as a distraction. In other words, not put this down and work on World War II stuff for like half of a year, but to, kind of mix and match. So I will be working on some kind of a DBA type of project. I just don't know what army it's going to be next. Probably, probably not a fancy army. Not one that has lots of heraldry and stuff. Probably. To be continued. To make a final decision later. Okay, and we'll do the same thing with this one. I can't remember. Do you have a Numidian army? I do not. I do not. Numidian army is always an army that someone that I played with always had one. Rich Goss had one and loved it. Mitch has one and he loves them. And they whoop my ass. Those sons of bitches. That's actually my nemesis army. Oh, somebody asked that the other night. What's army you want don't like to fight? Numidians. I seem to do terrible against them. Well, I'm not. We're using them against an army that they're kind of look like they'd be balanced against. It's not like I'm bringing my Burgundians up against them, and then you wonder why the Numidians lose every game. No, it's fights that we would think that would be even, and yeah, I'll never build that army because Mitch already has it, and I don't like how they look. Sorry, folks, it is important. As a painter, you don't want to paint figures that, for instance, if you like painting helmets, they don't have any flags, they don't have any like cool clothes or armor or anything. They just, a bunch of guys that just showed up on horses and to kick ass. So that doesn't really appeal to me as a painter. Troop composition is not really an issue. It's just it's hard to get excited about painting them, you know. So that is a part of it. I couldn't think of them the other night. They were asking, what's my army that I dislike facing the most? I should have said Numidian. And then let's get Iraqi sand for the last one. And then we'll paint the edge of the stand in black. We can leave the grass till in the morning. We gotta make sure that edge is completely dry, or you end up getting furries on the side of the stand and not really. You mentioned it because Osprey recently came out with a book for them. They did? Wow. Do they look cool in that book, or same thing that I'm saying? They don't look very interesting to paint. They're a fun army to see in combat. I just don't think they're very interesting looking. If you're trying to paint them with the information that we know the best, because you could always make them look interesting, but then they don't necessarily. I don't. I mean, even the ancient Spanish, which I don't have, they at least have some variety of helmets, headgear, that kind of stuff. And they're a similar, not really, but they're a same time period and a weak army, very light army kind of thing. So the Celtiberian army, I believe, can have a cav general, a light horse, six fast blades, and then three Soloi. I think that's right, something like that. That's a pretty cool army. But those guys don't have any flags, so. And those would be, if I had to build that army, I'd use forged and battle figures, without a doubt. But I don't need to buy any more figures. I'm good in that department. So I'm going to try like hell not to buy any more figures. Unless I need, one pack of this or whatever, just for variety or whatever. But I've got enough figures that I don't need to do that. It feels good to just go ahead and just use the stuff you already have instead of throwing more money at the problem. I hate throwing money at the problem. It doesn't make you feel better. Rather nondescript, yeah. You have ancient Spanish, and they can do quite well against the Romans, I bet. I bet. Yeah, you'll get one of those books like, oh, good, they finally have an army on, they have a book on X. I'll be able to see how they can paint their shields. And then lots of their figures, the artist decides to do a cop out and shows the figure where you can't see the front of their shield, like it's shot from the back or whatever, the painting. Because he doesn't know either. You're expecting some kind of, be illuminated by some really important information, and then it's not there because the author doesn't know what was on their shields either. The shield dilemma. All right, we're going to get a little brush. And we're going to get some water. And we're going to get this light color. We're not going to water it down that much. And then we're going to get in between the legs here. Make sure all this kind of blends together. They want to get all the way in there with a dry brush and then end up dry brushing over their shoes. Yeah, I'm sure that the skiing industry took a big hit this last year because there's a lot of people that don't want to travel by plane. You can still drive everywhere, but I don't fly every year. But it's unpleasant enough to fly if after 9/11. It's I can't imagine how it is now. Just more of what I don't want. More of what you don't want and less of what you do. Yeah, this is a hell of a lot more enjoyable than gluing some insolent tank that won't stay glued together. Insolent tank. Okay, and then we're gonna paint the edge of the stand. Let's find that big old thing here, and the old cheapo black paint. Utah has been hit hard by a lack of travelers this year. A lot of our rural communities depend on tourism. Yeah, yeah, it's gonna be the same thing this year too. Hopefully, you're not in that industry, so it's gonna be a long road ahead. Long road ahead. Not me. I actually work for a model making company. Really? Which one? What do you do? That's an interesting job. You might actually have the most interesting job of anybody that comes on here. My job's so interesting, I don't want to talk about it. Hey, that's what they pay you for. Trenchworks. We make 3D printing and resin 28 millimeter tank models. Oh, no 20s, huh? I People at this show at our local show in Orlando. There's a couple guys that set up a booth, and I'm not really sure how they're what they're trying to get at. I mean, but they always have these 3D printers, and they keep telling me, "Hey, you need to get a 3D printer." I said, "You do not want me to have a 3D printer. I will. I do not have the personality for it. I'm not a tech guy. Give me the printed model, and I'll paint it. You know." But trying to figure out how something works and then it prints one time and doesn't the next time, or I start it printing and then I get home and from work and expecting to have a finished model and it jammed instead. No, that's not me. I'm not one of those. I don't care how things work. I'm an artist. Let's see. You're forbidden to talk about 20 millimeters this month. Okay. I don't know what that means, but okay. I'm the one person in the States that does 20 millimeter. I don't really do it. I just have all these old kits, or whatever. So, but I saw something came up on one of the Facebook groups about this one company that was doing these 3D printed stuff, and it has like a pull down when you order it. You can have it on whatever scale you want. And I looked at the price of shipping to the United States because they were from Portugal, and their shipping was like $62 for one thing. I'm like, no, that's not going to work like that. And they said, well, it just costs us a lot of money. I believe it. I believe it does. Somebody's ripping you guys off for sure. Taxes and duty fees and 20 millimeter World War II was using it with Arc of Fire. Okay. I actually know what that is. I've never seen a game of that played, but occasionally, I believe that's a set of rules that are done by the same people who do the skirmish campaigns. I think that's the rule set because I love the skirmish campaign stuff, but Arc of Fire, yeah. Occasionally use it for bolt action, but mostly now for skirmish wargaming. Yeah. I got to do a review on the rules that I use, but I got to play them again so I can review them properly. But last time I did World War II, we were playing a set of rules called the Face of Battle. It's from a Canadian company, and it's very meticulous. Not as meticulous as Final Combat. Final Combat probably takes the cake on all of it, but that's a bit of a role playing game. And guys who put on Historicon games with Final Combat, they use the pre-painted figures that were like 54 millimeter. I think they're 54 millimeter. They might have been bigger than that. So I have a set of Final Combat, but it's a bit too much like a role playing game. So Face of Battle, you can run like a squad or half a squad. Two guys can share one squad's probably better. So the games are kind of on the small end. So that's what I like. I don't. I don't like much more than that. Right now, I'm just kind of enjoying having something else to paint. In between this stuff. But I fell in love with 20 millimeter because of the figures that were available. So that's really what drew me into that. And way back when, 28 millimeter was just Warhammer. Nobody was even doing it in Ancients and Medieval. I mean, there was some, but there just wasn't that much variety. Now it's just all over the place. I still wouldn't do it. I still wouldn't do 28s because I didn't grow up with a Warhammer, so I don't have that scale plugged into me, and I don't have 12 hours to spend on one figure. That's what it would turn into. I can't just paint figures bigger and paint them faster and more rush than I do my 15s. So, you know, I'm just creating more work for myself. And I got so many 20s that, I don't ever have to buy any figures. So, yes, those are fantastic books. They absolutely are. My figures are SHQ with a smattering of FAA. So FAA, a buddy of mine loved FAA. I never could stand them because of the cheekbones. They have these big cheekbones on them. I was a fan of Drew's Militia, also known as Battlefield and Combat Miniatures, which now I think there's somebody else. But this is painted over 20 years ago. Now the basing, just forget the basing because the basic basing is moronically bad. This is what we used to have in the 90s when we couldn't communicate and share ideas over the internet. But these are the first figures that I painted using the style that I do now for everything. And so the flesh has probably 7 or 8 different layers on there. I've cut it down to like a lot less than that now, but there's no washes or anything. This is all layering. So the only thing I did back then was I used 2 coats of semi-gloss. So if they look like they're semi-glossish, because they are. Now this guy went ahead and gave him a flat treatment with brush on, and he looks a lot better. So as I work through these things, I said I was going to rebase these guys when I was doing the basing on the other stuff, but I forgot. This is not really a priority, but they are on magnets, they're on pennies. This is where the whole penny thing started for me. I would glue them on pennies and would paint them on here. They'd never come off. This is their stand. But all my guys have surnames on them. This guy's just broke off. But these are the combat figures, and they actually have the detail molded on them for the division. It looks like it's the 51st, I believe. It's either the 51st or the 43rd, one of those that is molded onto the figure in 3-dimensional. So all you got to do is paint it. But I love these figures. This was my favorite sculptor. So here's a little semicircular thing that goes across I forget what it's called, the little shoulder thing at an arc that goes on there, the division name on there. Obviously I can't write what the name of the division is on there. That's extreme. So yeah, these are my Brits. I've got these are the only Brits I have. I only have 4 painted. I probably have over a platoon to do, all different poses. Every single pose I have is different because I want them to be different, because it's a different person, you know. I have about a platoon of Germans painted, and a couple squads, and I built them for one of the skirmish campaign books. I actually have, since you're familiar with skirmish campaigns, I actually have about 8 of the books. And they're right over here. I have, let's see. Let's close this. I have Ghost to Smolensk. Russia Drive on Minsk. I have Into the Ukraine. Red Guards at Kursk. Die Großdeutschland at Kursk. How much these used to be $15. I don't know how much they are now. And then I have Normandy 44, First Hours. This one's about useless for me because I don't have paratroopers, and a lot of them. This is just not a very useful book. This is probably the least useful book I have of them all. I've got the Monty's Epsom, the 44. This one was new when I got it. Now it's been out for a while. Where did I get this from? Is it from Brookhurst? It might have been from Brookhurst when I got them. And then the one that actually is the most useful is this one. Here's an Omaha and Panzer Lair. And one of the scenarios in here, I'm going to zoom this out a little bit. Oop, and not take this off the mount. How about that? Can I manage that? Can I manage to do that? We'll see. Okay, I got a little bit more view now here. Okay, so in this book, one of the scenarios, not Lair Recon, it is Purple Heart Hill. I built all the units for this battle. Not only that, I built this terrain. So up in the attic, there is because each one of these squares is supposedly a foot. There is one piece that's 2x2, another piece that's 2x2. You put them together. There's this trench. It's 3-dimensional. It's actually deep into the thing because the board's actually, I think it's 4 inches thick or something like that. It's just blue styrofoam, and it's got this ravine cut in, and it has this trench over here. And I've got the woods for this. What is this? This is an orchard. And I've got the woods with that shape also, I've got everything for this scenario. And I ran it at a convention. It was the last thing I ran with World War II, and then I realized a convention's not a good place to run one of these type of games because you spend an hour explaining the rules, and then the game doesn't finish, and that sort of thing. So even though this is a small battle, the U.S. for instance, they're defending. They got two fire teams of 5 guys, and they have a 60 millimeter mortar team, and they have an infantry platoon headquarters that has 5 guys in it, and then they have the random elements. That's a pretty small force. They only have 10, 5, 15. They only have 18 guys plus one optional thing on there. Did I do that right? 5 and 5 is 10. 15, yeah, 18 guys. And the Germans have um, kind of a platoon coming at them. They got a platoon headquarters, 2 infantry squads of 8 men, a recon team, an 80 millimeter mortar, heavy machine gun team, and then one random item. I have all the troops to do this. So painted and and so forth. So although I feel like this is, if you look at the beginning of these rules, okay, it says, not these rules, but this book. If I can't find it, I'm just going to approximate what it says. Basically, what it says is for 15 millimeter and 20 millimeter, using this scale as the blocks are 1 foot. I feel like it doesn't say it says it somewhere. Maybe it's further along. Maybe it's further along. Maybe it's not in this rule book. I feel like it really should be doubled for 20 millimeter. It looks pretty cramped because in face of battle, 1 centimeter is a meter, so it's almost the actual scale from each other. So in other words, if you're playing a game and these 2 guys are like this distance behind them, they're like 10 feet away between them. So it's close to actual scale, which is something I think is very important. 'Cause that's what I want to do. I don't want to move platoons around and stuff. I want individual squad type action and room to room fighting, not even building to building fighting or house to house fighting, but the actual room to room. So let's see. Cool. You have British regulars and commandos. You might like a skirmish rules I use called Normandy Firefight. I've played it. I have it. Very skirmish, uses maybe 4 to 8 figures per side. I like it. I don't know that I like it better than Face of Battle. It's probably 75% the scale, but there's 0 rules for vehicles. And I don't want a rule set that's dominated by vehicles, but I want the option of being able to use an anti-tank gun or a vehicle or something like that. I have it, and I ran a game of it. We did a sniper hunt. I did like 2 infantry fire teams trying to get a German sniper. I think the Germans had like 3 or 4 figures, and we outnumbered basically the Germans like 2 to 1, and we did that, and it was okay. I don't know that it was any better than, but I do have the rules. I always forget the name of the rules. I always want to call it Firefight Normandy instead of Normandy Firefight, but you could use that for Russian front. You just need different stats for the weapons, which is very easy to do. But it doesn't even allow you to do one vehicle or an armored car or a jeep or somebody going by there. So one thing I have is show you something cool. Even though you can't talk about 20s, I can. Sucks to be you. Let's see if I can find them readily. I pulled them out the other day. I don't think I took them far. think I'll find them in one of these. If I had to paint figures again, I'll show you exactly what they'd be. Oh, and I got these. These came up the other day. These are little Corgi die-cast M3 half tracks, and they're almost perfectly the correct scale. So we'll be using them for the Americans, even though I don't really think I need 3 of them in a on one side. Maybe I didn't put them back away. Huh. Yeah, I got all kinds of crap. Anyways, I don't know where it is. I had them here just a moment ago. On Saturday. Anyhow, if I was going to paint them, I was going to paint some figures. 20mm scale. I've got about 3 squads worth of French resistance fighters, and I think that that would work really well for the scale of game that I'm doing. So I think that would be really ideal. And I have them here. I pulled them out, and now we can't find them. Yeah, I just pulled out some of the stuff because I have an absurd amount of things. That was back in the day when I just buy, and buy more and buy. And we don't do that anymore. That doesn't feel good. Well, they're here somewhere. Anyways, if I was going to paint more figures, that's what I would do. And we would put their first names on them. We would have all the characters would have their first name, not their last name. But I will probably play with the figures I have first if I ever get around to playing World War II again. Right now, we're just kind of painting as a distraction. But I would rather do this. I'd rather take something that's already built and just paint it, so. I stole my own thunder. I don't know where the hell little resistance fighters are, but they're cool. Every single one of them is different. You got characters like Piats and a couple guys that have MG42s, and they're not standard equipment. They don't have standard equipment. And they should have been here nearby, but by God, if I didn't hide them from myself. Well, so it goes. Anyhow, and I'm not that disorganized, but I also played it with World War I figures and it worked well. Okay, I agree about the lack of vehicles. Last I heard, the author was working on a new version to include vehicles. Okay. Hey, Alan. If you play to hit the dirt, it's individual World War II skill, good for free rules. Well, the rules I already have are free. I like the set of rules I have. They just take a long time to play them. And that's okay because, I don't like cutting corners. I enjoyed Normandy Firefight because it has lots of detail. Okay? I don't want to play anything that has less detail than that, or the Face of Battle. I don't want to play anything less than that detail. I just assume not play it. I'll just play DVA, which is why I haven't played any World War II in 20 years. I'm fine not playing World War II again. It's all right, I can, if I want to play World War II that bad, I could pop open a video game and get my World War II out that way, but yeah, I'm not going to compromise on my skirmish. I'm spending like 4 or 5 hours painting a figure, so why would I want to play something where you just pick them up, put them on the board, and roll a d6 if they die? Okay, so I'm spending a lot of effort to paint figures to make them look nice, and then I'm playing a game that has no detail to them and just kind of makes them look like little ants. Like, nah. I like a game that creates a really interesting narrative. and Firefight Normandy does that, and Face of Battle does that. Um, I feel like Face of Battle is better because you get decisions you get to make, because there's like commands and stuff that you can do with the squad leaders and assistant squad leaders, you know. Um, but I played only Firefight Normandy, I think, 2 or 3 times. So yeah, anything less than that detail, I'm out. I'm not interested in it. So, and you don't have to use stuff that, to use a Tiger tank or something like that. But just like, if you have a little truck or something like that that they need to blow up, or some kind of something like that, or it needs to be ambushed, or that kind of thing. The free rules doesn't really interest me more. It's more of an issue that of relearning the rules. So I picked up a set of rules from this guy that I know for doing some modern Africa stuff, and they were a letdown. I mean, they were well done, but there so many things where I feel like you just didn't have interesting decisions to make as a player. You just kind of moved everybody and you shot, and there wasn't a whole lot of decision making about who's going to go next, or different things. And when you're playing a set of rules that, in my opinion, you don't have a lot of interesting decisions to make, I don't think they're very interesting or captivating for me to play a second time. And most rules are that way. Most rules are just like, oh, it's obvious that I have to do this. I like things that there's more than one way to skin a cat. If you can only skin a cat one way, then everybody's playing them. Everybody's playing them the same way. So, anywho, what is it? It's we're 2 hours in. It's 10 o'clock. I think we're gonna have to call a wrap on this one. So, but anyways, thanks for stopping by, and really looking forward to finishing these guys up, and have something cool, something else to do. They're glossy because we got to put decals on them and stuff like that, and that's the first coat anyways. So we're gonna put the decals on, and and seal them up again, and then do some weathering on them, and we'll put them on stands too. So small stands, but it helps tie them into the terrain that they're in. You know. So all right, well, until next time, we'll catch you guys in a few days. You guys have a good night, and happy painting. Bye bye.